Hi, welcome to Movie Digest. In this video I'm going to explain 2018 sci-fi thriller movie titled Prospect. Spoilers ahead. The movie opens in space. C, a teenage girl, who is sitting inside the cabin of a landing pod, which is connected to a transport spacecraft. Later, we can see Damon, C's father, who is preparing for their journey towards an alien moon named the Green Moon, in order to mine the gems on it. C learns from the schedule that it is their last run, as the line is shutting down. C gets worried they could be stranded on the moon, but Damon assures they will come back home soon. Before going to sleep, Damon shares C about the memories of when she was born, and when her mother is still alive. Few hours later, they get ready for the journey. The landing pod is descended from the transport spaceship, and is heading towards the Green Moon. However, they face a technical malfunction, and Damon releases the parachutes for a safe landing. The landing pod is partially damaged, and they learn that they have landed some distance away from their planned prospecting site. C and Damon suit up and heads out to look for gems. They land in a forest, and seem to have a similar atmosphere to Earth, but it is covered with extremely poisonous spores. On the way, as they approach a dig site left by another team, Damon decides to take a closer look, as he thinks they were amateurs, and suspects that the something must be left behind. He then digs and finds a shell near the surface. He pours a solution into the shell and pulls out a fleshy object and dissects it. Seeing C almost dropping the solution on the shell, Damon warned her that a drop of that was enough to make the whole mine explode. Damon then cleans it with a solution and pulls out a valuable gem inside. C is amazed by the beauty of the gem. After learning that the gem is worth a lot of money, C suggests they should go back to their landing pod, as the gem could get enough money to clear the loan. But Damon wants to get to the original site, where they can have a chance to get bigger and more valuable gems. With that, they could get millions and there will be no financial troubles. C still tries to convince him, but Damon had already made his decision. Later, C goes to fetch some water. While returning, Damon tells on the mic that someone is approaching him. He warns her to mute her mic and stay hidden. C slowly approaches and hides behind a tree. She learns her father is being questioned by a prospector, named Ezra, while his companion is going through Damon's things. They suspect Damon got something and beat him up, but he insists he got nothing as he has just landed. They learn Damon came with a pod. Ezra takes out his gun and forces Damon to tell his pod's whereabouts, and asks for its key. Damon then places a counteroffer, as he knows about a dig site that is bigger gems, which is the Queen's Lair, that is guarded by a team of mercenaries, and he reveals to them that he is under their contract and came to harvest gems. Damon asks Ezra and his companion to join him, in order to take the entire dig for themselves. Ezra gets convinced and agrees to Damon's plan, as he can make a lot of money from it. Later, Damon calls C and tells her to get the rifle and follow them. He wants her to attack the two prospectors when he gives her the signal. After they leave, C rushes to take her rifle and follows them from a distance. When Damon gives her the signal, C shows up from behind and points her rifle at the prospectors, and Damon forces them to drop their weapons. When Damon gets hold of Ezra's bag, which contains several gems, suddenly, Ezra's partner attacks Damon, and they both end up shooting each other to death. Ezra quickly takes a gun and points at C, but couldn't pull the trigger. Seeing that C runs away, Ezra was in disbelief that his partner got killed. C runs back into forest and eventually reaches her damaged landing pod. She prepares to leave and initiates the pod, but it fails to start. She then looks for some food in the pod and listens to music. Later, she decides to step out. Suddenly, she hears the footsteps approaching her. It turns out to be Ezra, who manages to get inside. C grabs the rifle and shoots him on his arm, but he quickly takes it away and sits in the pod. He asks C for a field kit. She pretends to help him, only to get his gun and points at him. As Ezra killed her father, and she is seeking revenge. But she is also desperate to get back home, so she offers Ezra to fly her back into connection orbit for a sling back to her home, and in return, she will not kill him. C gives Ezra the field kit to cure himself. When Ezra finishes, he reveals that he doesn't have a ship. C aims the gun at him and decides to shoot him. But Ezra comes with a counteroffer that Damon talked about. He then justifies himself to C for killing her father. He suggests they should go to the mercenaries, there he pretends to be the prospector. Ezra asks C's help to get to the Queen's Lair, there he can harvest some gems in exchange for their passage into mercenaries' ship to get back home. C thinks she is being tricked, but Ezra assures they should offer something to the mercenaries, since they are ruthless profiteers. C is still skeptical as he is responsible for her father's death, but Ezra reminds her father was stealing his entire harvest. He then apologizes for his contribution to her father's death. He says whatever happened isn't personal, and he is her safest route home. Having left with no other choice, C reluctantly agrees. In the following scene, both C and Ezra are suited up and got into the forest to locate the Queen's lair with a map. On the way, Ezra tries to have a conversation, but C is not interested and remains silent. They keep walking for hours, and C points the gun at him throughout the journey. They notice a man in the forest, and Ezra suggests they should follow him, as his wound got worse because of infection in the toxic atmosphere. They follow him to his village, intending to trade for medical treatment. The villagers agree, but orders them to get rid of the weapons. C and Ezra hide them in a bush and they both get to the tent. The head of the village and his family welcomes them. However, instead of a trade of gems for medical treatment, they offer a trade of gems in exchange for C, as his wife has passed away a few days ago. Learning their intentions, C quickly flees away. A villager chases after C, but she manages to escape. She goes to the bushes and retrieves her weapons. After wandering alone on the planet, she discovers an abandoned tent. As she enters the tent, to find out Ezra is hiding in there to take a rest. He offers C some food. As C left, the villagers did not provide him any treatment. Ezra needs C's help to get rid of his wounded arm. Ezra also states that he will not give C to the villagers, which makes C to realize that he isn't a bad guy. C agrees to help Ezra, and removes his arm using a surgical knife. Later, they both head towards the Queen's lair. While walking through the forest, C opens up and talks to Ezra. She tells him about her interest in reading and writing novels, but Damon never supported her, as he thinks it is a distraction for her, and she has to give up her interest to support her father in mining gems. By the night, they reach the Queen's lair, where they find the mercenaries in their ship. They observe the mercenaries for a while by hiding behind the bushes. The mercenaries are fully armed, and they also got a prisoner. As Ezra and C walk towards the camp, Ezra pretends like Damon and states he is there for mining the gems. He also apologizes for being late. Suddenly, one of them, Inaman, interrupts the duo by turning on a loud music tape, and talks to the commander, Mikan, so that they can't hear anything. Mikan agrees to let Ezra mine the gems. Ezra negotiates with them for a passage on the mercenaries' ship, in return for extracting gems. They eventually agree on the deal Ezra offered. We then see Mikan guide Ezra and C to the Queen's lair. On the way, they learn the prisoner is caged and sent to the moon to be executed. Eventually, Mikan brings them to the dig site, and Ezra starts mining for gems. However, because of his injury, Ezra cannot dissect a big gem, and the same happens with the second gem. Ezra gets frustrated, and they are being closely watched by Mikan. C jumps in to offer help, and begins mining herself, and it is also her very first time performing such skills. However, she fails to extract the third gem. Seeing that, Mikan decides to report it to the rest of them. Ezra quickly acts and manages to kill Mikan, which attracts the rest of the mercenaries, and the duo is surrounded. Ezra tells them that Mikan had an accident and died. However, it doesn't take the mercenaries long to find out about Mikan's death, and they soon point their guns at C and Ezra. Recalling the lesson her father taught, C drops the solution on the shell, causing an explosion. The mercenaries are injured. C and Ezra grab the opportunity to escape. Soon after that, Ezra and C, armed with their guns, and run into the forest, while Inaman is pursuing behind. They hide behind a tree and devises a plan. He tells C to run a distraction, and he will try to stab Inaman. They will reunite after Ezra can finish Inaman off. But, Inaman spots Ezra and starts shooting at him. Seeing that, C runs to ambush her. Ezra takes the chance to stab her to death. But Ezra was also gravely injured, as Inaman has stabbed him. Ezra tells C to leave with the pod as he thinks he cannot make it. However, C runs to the lair to get the field kit to cure Ezra. There she is confronted by a mercenary who is still alive. Luckily, the mercenary then gets killed by the prisoner, who has managed to escape before. C runs to Ezra and treats his wound with the kit. She then carries him to the pod to return home. On the way, they see the prisoner, and he thanks the duo for freeing him. They both get into the landing pod, and we can see that C and Ezra have successfully escaped into the orbitory, and heading to their home. That's how the movie ends. For more content, please subscribe.